This is the Personal Finance Show.
Hi, I'm Bo Humphreys, and this is the Personal Finance Show. Lindsay and Graham Plumb want you to be unstoppable with your personal finances. If you're 30 to 45 years old, for example, and you have a couple of kids and a mortgage, maybe unstoppable is not the first word that comes to mind when you think of your finances. But this is actually the most important time of your life financially. This is the time when tracking your spending, paying down your mortgage, having the right insurance, and building up that emergency fund is crucial. And then there's the investing part. Do you want to put some away for the kids' education in an RESP account? And what about investing for retirement? Lindsay and Graham know how hard it is to wrap your head around all this stuff. They were working in the traditional mutual fund and insurance business and realized there wasn't a whole lot of holistic financial planning available. Holistic financial planning is when someone looks at your whole financial picture. Do you have debt? Do you have existing investments that cost too much? What are your goals around money? Do you want your kids to have an education fund, or would you rather they take out loans themselves in the future and learn something in the process? Do you have an emergency fund? Do you have insurance? And when Lindsay and Graham tried to help clients with basic personal finance stuff like tracking and budgeting, the company they worked for told them, "We don't do that here." How are they going to make you unstoppable if all they were allowed to do was sell you products and then send you on your way? This is the story of Lindsay and Graham Plumb and their company, Moolah Financial Coaches and Advisors.
I was actually just talking to my mom about this last night, about how it was right from the beginning for me with how she handled finances. And there was nothing magic about it, and we didn't talk about financial planning or anything like that at home, but watching how she managed her money, how she did her grocery shopping, what it took to put her kids in extracurricular activities and go on vacations. I mean, it was one of the most embarrassing things in my entire life. My mom used to pull over on the side of the road and make us pick up empty bottles and cans.
Really?
And then we would take them to the depot. Yeah.
So you're talking about sailing, like building the travel fund, the vacation fund, or on a vacation?
Yeah, building the fund.
It up. Was she just like sort of everything was out in the open? We're planning, we're saving, watching every cost, like tracking everything. Is that what she did?
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't. She wasn't meticulous. She was just, real common sense. We had I think it was a stove box, from Home Depot or something like that in our garage, an empty box, and that's where all of our cans went. And we would fill up the entire box, and she knew that the box, was worth X number of dollars, and that we had to do that X number of times to be able to go to Hawaii, for example.
How would she know? I guess from experience of filling it up.
Yeah, exactly.
So these are good lessons to learn, I guess, when you're young. I mean, instead of just slapping it on the credit card.
Yeah, and like I say, it wasn't well, maybe she was doing meticulous tracking in the background, but that was certainly not my perspective at all. My perspective was just, we have this goal to go on a family vacation to Hawaii, next year, 2 years from now, or whatever the time frame was. And in order to do that, we as a family needed to work, and not, work in a job, but we needed to do certain things like pay attention to how we were spending our money. And that super embarrassing experience of her pulling over on the side of the road, like right in front of friends sometimes, we'd have to jump out and pick up this can. It was just the worst thing ever. But, it laid a foundation to having a plan and to be willing to think outside the box. And I've really brought that into, into my coaching practice.
Why do you think people don't start that way? Why do you think people are just really uncomfortable with looking at their finances? Why doesn't everybody say, hey, okay, you want to go on that vacation? Well, you got to save up for it and do some kind of work, some kind of effort to do it. Why do you think people don't do that?
You know what? It's funny because my Facebook group is pushing 5,000 people, and we talk about this stuff every day, day in and day out. And I got all these coaching clients, and this is the kind of stuff that we've been talking about for years, and I still don't know what it is, because for me, it's like in my DNA to do it the way that I do it and to have these plans, and I can't find the differences to really pinpoint them. But of course, we have society and marketing and busy lives and the keeping up with the Joneses and all of that stuff. It's just easier to click some buttons and use our credit card to pay for that vacation rather than putting the plan in place. And, I think we can say it goes all the way back to how our parents manage money and how they teach us, as well as the kind of financial education we're getting in schools, and then the mistakes people are making right out of school, credit cards and big student loans, and trying to be cool with their friends, and buying all the newest things, and then these habits develop, and now that's just the way they do life, is click click click, and here we go on vacation.
And sometimes that's fine, right? Like sometimes it's okay if you can afford it.
Absolutely.
And people only realize that they don't have good money management abilities or strategies when the money disappears, and then they have to get into borrowing. But I think this is going to be something that we're going to be working on probably for a long time. It's just correcting and re-educating. Yeah. It's just something that's there. That's why we're doing what we're doing in terms of the financial literacy and coaching part of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And what about Graham? Graham, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
All right.
I really was raised in a different kind of family where, money didn't get talked about a lot. And when I did begin to realize about money, my dad worked in the construction industry, and this was in 1997 to 1999. And basically the housing industry just fell flat. And so kind of I woke up to money and my family was going bankrupt.
Oh, really?
And so it was like a totally different experience where I started to realize what money was and how it worked. And we were selling all of our stuff, putting a few items in a U-Haul and moving from Ontario to British Columbia to sort of start anew just before the year 2000.
Okay. So wait, so your family goes bankrupt in Ontario?
Yes.
And you basically you lose everything and you start fresh in BC. And
yeah.
How old are you?
I was 12.
Okay, so so this is like a trial by fire in terms of personal finance education for you. So what happened when you got to BC? Did things change? I assume they would had to if you starting fresh.
Yeah, I mean, looking back, it was quite an experience, for my dad and my mom to say, okay, it's not working here. They just built a brand new 4-bedroom house when the market was good. And then the market sort of fell out, couldn't sell the house for $100,000, and basically, walked the keys into the bank and said, we can't make the payments on this. We're going to move to a different province.
Oh, man.
And then drove the U-Haul across Canada.
Wow.
And so, my dad had done a bit of research and he was a renovator by trade. So we moved to Victoria, which had tons of old homes, and he started a new business out here and has done really, really great over the last sort of 15, 20 years. Now they have a really big, booming, successful business in renovations.
That's great. So they figured it out and you just started slow. And then, so what did you learn as you went along? Did you start, you went through bankruptcy. So were you saving your money, like pinching pennies for yourself? What about school?
So, through high school, I really didn't learn a lot about money from my parents. And then, I worked for my dad growing up from when I was 16, but I always spent all of my money. I never had any savings or anything like that. And my parents didn't really have a lot of savings either. They were sort of rebuilding from the bankruptcy and no credit. And so when I went and finally got a real job and worked for somebody else, I moved away. And so I bought a car, a $10,000 car, and I had a payment for that. And then I got a credit card at the same time because, my credit was okay back then and they would give you credit cards. And then I racked up my $10,000 credit card sort of over a year period of time. And then I found myself at 20 years old with a $10,000 loan on a car and a $10,000 credit card payment. And I moved back to Victoria where I made less money because Victoria don't make a ton of money in construction back then. And so my income had dropped from about $3,000 a month down to $2,000 a month. And I had about $600 in payments.
Oh, that's
and I had
good.
this experience, of, I don't have any money anymore. Like I'm paying rent and then I have $600 in payments. I have no money. Wow, I'm totally screwed. Like, what was I thinking? And so all of a sudden I really woke up to the fact that cash flow is so awesome and I don't have any of it.
Yeah, you don't know what you got till it's gone, right?
Yeah, right. Totally. So all of a sudden I had no cash flow. And so my parents were always very encouraging of personal development. And so I took a personal development course. And in that course, I kind of shared my financial woes. And at the end, someone who was a financial planner came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm a financial planner. And if you want, I can teach you how to get out of debt and, be more successful financially."
Well, that's
And
that's
I
random.
remember that feeling. Yeah, it was totally random. She was in the course to do personal development and I had shared my woes and boom, met up afterwards. And I just remember being, okay, like not sure what you can help me with. I don't have any money. And she sat me down and did a phenomenal job of financial planning. And almost like not what we would, if we all walk into a bank or to an investment planner, we don't get a lot of debt management.
No.
I shouldn't say a lot of, we get zero debt management.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't get a lot of life planning, planning at all. And so what she did though, is she actually made a game plan for me on exactly the payments I needed to make and a get out of debt date.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I immediately had a goal. I had a plan and it was that light bulb moment where no work had to be done. And I immediately saw action steps to take.
Those are the best kind of plans.
It was the best kind of plan. I didn't have to do any work. I just had to follow the plan. So I followed that plan. She also made me a savings plan. She said, if you save this much money per month, you'll have this much money by the time you're 25. And I just followed this plan. I just paid down my debt. I saved my money. And then we were able to buy our first house at 24 years old.
Okay.
And
so
it totally changed my life.
So yeah, chance encounter leads to, what were you doing for work?
So I was working construction at age 20, 21. And then when I met this financial planner, she was looking for people to come and work with her. And so I began my training right then too. And I started taking my classes and courses and, doing the life insurance courses and mutual fund course and that sort of thing right around 21.
And so, Lindsay, you still there? Yeah, you're there. You're taking all of this in.
That's right.
You know all this stuff, of course.
Of course.
When you started working, how did the lessons you learned from your mom, how did they play into your, I have money now, I'm making money? How did that help you?
Growing up, I was really able to implement this simplistic, common sense approach to money in my teenage years.
Already, yeah.
I had a loan from the bank to buy my first car when I was 15 years old.
Okay.
And it was funny because all of us couldn't figure it out. They didn't even want anybody to co-sign for me back then. And
they
my
just
parents
trusted you so much.
They just trusted me. Yeah. And I said to my mom, you guys were crazy. What were you thinking letting a 15-year-old take out a loan?
Well, do you remember how much it was?
Yeah, it was about $3,000. It was either $3,000 or $3,500.
You could do a lot of damage at 15 with $3,000.
Sure can. Yeah, and she said, we knew that you were responsible and you'd take care of it. She said we had no concerns whatsoever. And I'll never forget, it was $41 every 2 weeks.
Wow.
And I was probably making, 9 or 10, maybe $8, dollars an hour on the weekends. My mom was waking up at 6 a.m. to drive me to work because I was the opening shift of this little coffee shop.
Wow.
And she would drive me to work because, at 15, I still didn't have my license. I had this car and this car loan, but I couldn't drive myself. And so, I think
yeah, let's step back for a sec. You had this car, but legally, when could you be licensed?
16.
Yeah, so you actually planned ahead to have a car by the time you were 16?
Yep.
This is great.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I got this super sweet 1981 like bright sky blue Volkswagen cabriolet. Like I had the cool car at school, and here I was working, and yeah, so she was waking up super early to get me to work, and my paychecks. Let's say they were about $200 if I worked 20 hours, over 2 weekends,
sure.
and my car payment was $41.
Okay.
And 15, 16 years old, and you obviously have no other payments at that point in your life, and no cell phone bills back then. And so I was able to really, really easily pay off this car, which set me up for incredible credit. I bought my first house when I was 24 years old, and I'll never forget the mortgage broker saying, "I've never seen credit like yours with somebody your age." It was high 800s or something like that.
Yeah, that's kind of the best you can get. So you bought your first house at 24, if we can jump ahead. You're in Victoria, right?
That's right, yeah.
And what can you reveal how much that house cost, or in and around the range?
Yeah, it was somewhere around 400,000. I think it was 390.
Wow.
Something like that for a half duplex.
Okay.
In a lower cost of living part of town.
Sure. Starting somewhere, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's kind of funny. I didn't necessarily do what I would encourage others to do, but I was going to school at that time, and I was working on the weekends, and great with money, of course, and but I took a student loan anyways, just because I qualified for it, and then I I locked it into a GIC. At that point, you get 4% on a GIC.
Nice.
So then 2 years after I did that, I used that money because I didn't use it for school. I used that money for the down payment on my house.
Wow, you're just like gaming the system right now.
Oh yeah,
this is great. So I'm going to connect you guys now. Had you met at this point, or this is all pre you two meeting?
Yeah. This was pre relationship.
So you have a house. You're basically well, we talked about arbitrage before the show started, but you're basically using the loan money. This is like OSAP, or not OSAP, but BSAP, whatever the BC OSAP is, the student loan plan.
Yeah, it was a mixture of provincial and federal. Yeah,
that's great. And of course, so and you get your GIC, then use that for a down payment. You got this house. How long ago was this?
This was in 2007.
2007. So just over 10 years ago, because we're in 2018 now. And you probably have a pretty good remaining mortgage, if any. Pretty low.
Yeah, so that house is now gone.
Oh, you sold that one already.
Yeah, we sold that one. What did we do after that, Graham? We sold that house, and we didn't actually have it for that long, about 2009 maybe.
So did you guys live together in that house then? You met, or?
No, we never lived together in that house.
Okay, so Graham Graham, did you have, were you awesome and use the government money to get a house of your own?
I was not awesome.
Opposites attract.
But
you're working as a CFP at this point?
No, I didn't have my a CFP, and I'm actually 3 years younger than Lindsay.
Okay.
So she's 24 buying her first house. I'm 21 still.
Yeah.
So I'm like just starting.
You're just starting construction.
I'm just finishing up construction, moving into finances.
Oh, that's when you met the lady,
the planner.
The planner.
Yeah. And then, I bought a house in Nanaimo.
Okay.
So a different house when I was 24. Lindsay had her house when she was 24.
Oh,
what a timeline. This is hilarious.
So about the same, different cities.
Yeah.
So you're studying to get your CFP or another designation or just to work in financial planning? What did you end up getting?
So back when I was 21, I did my life insurance course and my mutual funds course.
Sure.
And then just last year, actually, I just completed my, I think it's called FPSC level 1. Like you do all your courses and the capstone. And so my capstone is done. And now I just have to write my 2 exams that come up in June and December, I think.
So you always wanted to kind of get the, I guess, quote unquote official designation, but it's not necessary to do planning.
No,
but
not
it
at
was
all.
always something in your mind that eventually I'll work towards this and complete the courses.
I think the certified financial planning designation is quite an interesting. Designations are what they are. It proves that you've learned something.
Sure.
It doesn't necessarily mean that you're using that information in your practice.
And it could also be misleading too. If you see somebody who's new with the CFP, but they have 0 experience, you're going to think, oh, they know everything, but maybe they don't. So I think people shouldn't rely exclusively on designations to build trust.
Yeah, I think it's totally right. I mean, there's great accountants, and then there's accountants who know all the information and maybe just can't apply it very well.
That's right.
Or whatever. I think it's very similar. Yeah. So I think the CFP is a great designation, and I think just take it with context.
And so, at 24, you have a house in Nanaimo. At 24, well, that's okay. So now it's 3 years apart. So Lindsay would be 27. And
Correct.
When did you guys meet then?
Met in 2008. We started dating in 2009. We got married in 2010.
Okay.
And we had our first little guy in 2011.
Ooh, and how many little people do you have?
2.
2 of them. Okay.
Yeah.
So one of them's 6.
Yeah, exactly. We have a 6-year-old.
Turning 7.
Yeah.
Not until September, but
September, yeah.
Yeah, and a almost 3-year-old.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
both boys.
what were you doing for work, Lindsay?
I was.
Did we get there yet? We haven't got there.
What was I doing at that
We haven't got there.
point? I was working as a volunteer coordinator for our local tourism bureau.
What did you do for school? What did you get in school?
My job, I did business admin and marketing at school.
Very useful.
Very useful, yeah. And then I loved tourism. I was working in the kind of event side of the industry, the meeting planning and events. And I thought I was going to be an event planner. And the more meeting and event planners I met, the more I realized that wasn't the lifestyle that I wanted.
The life of burnout? Is that?
Yeah, it's the life of burnout. There's a heck of a lot of traveling if you're doing big conferences. And if you're doing small local events, guess who's the first one to be cut if there's any kind of recession or budget crunch?
Yeah.
Now now office admin is planning the Christmas party. Planner gets cut.
That's right. People think that anybody can plan an event. And
Exactly.
I mean, I used to work in the music business and specifically at the Air Canada Centre here. And it's not to run an event is very, very difficult. And you have to be able to deal with every personality with a smile. And it's not easy. And just to throw it on somebody, but people are like, oh, just, go get some balloons or something, right?
Yeah.
It's a very undervalued job, and they don't get the respect that they deserve. But you wanted to move into something else.
Yeah, so I was realizing that wasn't what I wanted to do. Decided to get my insurance license and then my mutual fund license. So I was doing that as well as working, and then eventually, after several years of that, decided that it was really where I wanted to plant my flag in this industry. And at some point, really specifically realized that I wasn't interested in the typical financial services industry, and that I really wanted to I was going to say educate, but not just educate people, but, really guide them and coach them with their money.
Well, what drew you to mutual funds and insurance sales in the first place, though? What was enticing about that?
What was enticing about it was the long-term vision, realizing, well, I mean, at that point, I was probably thinking all the things that I now judge and condemn the industry for thinking.
We got to start somewhere, right?
big commissions and
Yeah.
and flexible hours and part-time work schedule, and I'm going to be a millionaire by selling insurance and investments. And
Which is how it really went. And this would have been how long ago was this then?
So I got
2010s?
licensed at the end of 2008.
Okay,
and it started.
But you
really
realize you're in this, and you were selling insurance and investments at the time. Yeah, but you didn't like the way that the standard industry was doing stuff.
Well, you know what? It's interesting because when you're right in the middle of it, you don't even know that it's different. I find that a lot of financial advisors, they hang out with financial advisors. And
That's right.
We did a workshop with an amazing team of business coaches late 2015. And in this workshop, we were tasked with this exercise of what they termed finding your calling. And what that meant to them was, what experience do you want other people to have with you? Not your why, not your mission statement or your goals or any of that stuff from, other workshops that we've done in our past. But, when somebody has an experience with you, a conversation, whatever it is, what feeling do you want to leave them with?
Sure.
And we boiled that down and we came up with this phrase that we wanted to leave people with the experience of being unstoppable.
Yeah, that's nice.
And so we looked at the ways first that people were stopped in their finances.
Sure.
And it was everything from jargon to banker's hours to fees, commissions, all of it. And we looked at the traditional companies in our industry, and we tried to figure out how we would implement this, leaving people unstoppable philosophy inside the context of their sales system, their product offering.
Sure.
And we kind of came up against a wall of, we wanted to teach people how to budget because that's somewhere that people are stopped. Yeah. And remarkably, we actually couldn't get approval in some companies to teach budgeting.
Really?
Yeah.
Basic financial literacy, they didn't think that was valuable.
Not interested in us teaching that to people.
If you have a mutual fund license, budgeting is considered an outside business activity that you have to get approval for.
Okay.
It's like not considered part of the
human
process.
Activity. It's everyday humans.
And outside of your mutual fund sales, responsibilities. So it needs approval. And then
that makes me really angry. I don't know why. It just kind of triggers like, you're trying to tell me that I can't help people with basics, that I have to do this specific thing. So did you have a similar reaction?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It just, so we, I explain it like we kind of looked at each other and decided to jump off the cliff together and start our own company because that's not how we wanted to operate. I think that people should be taught how to budget.
Absolutely.
And my Facebook group's nearing 5,000 people, and there's no way I could have had that approved if I worked for a bigger company. There's no way they'd let me run that group. Not a chance.
I don't like the idea of approvals of any kind, but which is why I work for myself. But let's just step back one sec. So, Graham, you were working as a planner or coach as well, or selling investments, all that kind of stuff too?
Yeah, so I was just doing investment and mutual fund sales.
Okay, you guys were doing the same thing. Were you working together in a company?
We started working separate, but then we were working together for the same company.
Yeah, and so you're both in this same company then, and you're able to have the same reactions and conversations, and obviously you guys have similar philosophies. I don't think the marriage would work otherwise. Would it?
Well, I have a spending philosophy. Lindsay has a saving philosophy.
Okay, well that's those can be reconciled, right?
Yeah, like every marriage.
But if you, Graham, if you thought that 2.5% MERs are great, management expense ratios on mutual funds, and Lindsay was like, no, I don't think you guys could move forward with that. So obviously, you guys decided we're going to go out on our own. Was that something that you kind of had an idea of how to do it, or was it just like totally by the seat of your pants?
It was interesting.
Wait, let me guess. No, go ahead.
We had taken this business course, and we actually had another partner that was working with us too.
Okay,
and
good.
so we all took the course together, the three of us, and we were on this call after our workshop, and we're trying to figure out we're sending emails to the company we're working for, and we're like, who are we going to talk to? Who will get on our side to change the company we're working in, so that we can have a whole program around coaching and budgeting and teaching people those things. That would be so incredible. It would leave all the clients that are already at the company, just really move them along the unstoppable timeline, and we can implement the programs so that all the advisors can use it. This is going to be awesome. And we kind of start heading down that path, and then it's just like, no, that's not how this company operates. That's not going to work here. That's not going to generate any revenue. And so we're on a conference call after that sort of has happened, and we've been really shut down, and and it's just kind of this feeling, and it's just silence on the phone, and it's like, why don't we just start our own company?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure I responded with, no, you don't just start your own your own company in this industry.
Yeah, sure. Whatever, Graham. Let's just start it.
Yeah. That's how far we were into, the bubble was that was such a far off idea.
Concept, yeah.
And I feel like that's sometimes what big corporations do. They want you to think a certain way, and you get kind of thinking that certain way. And so, once that idea had been unleashed, I think everyone's brain just started working on it, subconsciously and consciously, and it just got really crazy. And the research began on how do you start your own associate general agency, so that you can broker insurance from any company you want,
Because you had to stay within this framework if you wanted to still be selling and advising on investments and insurance.
Insurance,
is
exactly,
that right?
yeah. So then we're moving from a corporate world to an independent world. And, how do we do that? And what if we want to, have a group of people who are all doing that together? And then we needed to find a mutual fund dealer who would approve our coaching program.
We didn't, but Graham, remember, we didn't even know what a mutual fund dealer was. We had a contract with the one that we worked with.
Sure.
But we didn't even know that.
Because you what did you have, just some kind of dashboard on your screen that said what products you could sell through the company?
Exactly.
Yeah. You weren't part of that. So you had to learn all the little bits of this, all the things, how it's put together. And that, that sounds like a great education. I mean, you already know the products, you already know how to do what you're doing and how to help people. And now you know how it's all put together.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so that was maybe 3 months of research?
It was a lot of research.
And we just interviewed companies and we researched them and asked them and, Googled and read other people who had gone independent and began to learn this whole new world. And
it was a ton of research and planning and a lot of trial and error.
Failing, right? You got to fail to learn.
Yep. Absolutely.
Little failures. That's what we don't want. Nobody wants the big ones. They happen too, but the little ones are the ones that are like, okay, well, that was unfortunate, but now I know where to go. And so you did a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was late 2015.
Okay,
and so we started to try and put together a plan to leave the corporate company and start our own company. And then we actually got to a place where we said, hey, you know what? It's so crazy that we have this idea of starting our own company. I think we should get even crazier in our thought process. We should actually quit working and figure out what we want to do with our lives entirely.
Yes.
Why are we even saying we're only going to do financial literacy or planning or coaching? We should say whoa, let's quit everything and recommit to our lives what we're going to do for a vocation. Totally.
I recommend that to anyone. I think it's a great process. If you're, especially you guys were obviously up against the wall, many walls.
Yeah.
So you quit your jobs.
Yep. So we quit our jobs. We had, we thought we had 4 months of savings. We said, okay, we can float ourselves for 4 months.
You got 2 kids.
We got 2 kids, mortgage payment.
And okay.
So we're like, okay, let's do that. So we quit our jobs, and the first 2 months, we're just brainstorming. And we're like, what do we love? What are our hobbies? What do we like researching? What YouTube videos do we watch when we're not working? And how can we make money doing that?
Yeah.
And awesome. So we went down that path, and a lot of my hobbies you can't make money from, or we didn't think we'd be very, like, I love cars, and there's very little I would want to do with cars to make money. Like, I don't want to sell them.
It's true.
I can't race them. And then otherwise, cars just cost money. So.
But it's a great exercise to go through. It's what do I like to do, and how can I make it into a business? And so you kept exploring. What about you, Lindsay? Did you find anything in your database?
Not really. Not a whole lot came up for me. I know that I love people, and I was the kid in school. I was the chatty Cathy that I got in trouble for talking every day. Every single report card said, if she would just stop talking and apply herself, she has so
maybe
much
she'll be
potential.
Successful if she stops talking.
And so that social, wanting to talk thing really lines up with being a coach.
It really, really does, doesn't it? And it really lines up with being a podcast host too, by the way.
There you go.
But you're right. People think that these are negatives, like, oh, you just can't stop talking, and you're too friendly, and what you're just so nice to people, and you help them, and you're never going to get ahead this way. I think it's just so skewed, right? So you came up with this company.
Yeah. So we kept coming back to things that we loved. And like a lot of the things we loved were like having people be in a place where they have some kind of a barrier, roadblock, and then being able to walk them through and have them experience this like amazing experience of that's gone. And now I have access to something new.
Oh yeah. Opening doors,
being unstoppable.
I love this unstoppable concept, by the way.
Yeah.
So great choice.
Yeah. And then we just kept coming back to like, what's the biggest area we can make a difference for people in? And it's finance. It's like over and over again, financial planning and coaching just came back up. It was like, that's the place to do it. Like, if you're going to teach people anything, and there's so many things you can encompass into it. It's such a massive space. And so we recommitted after about 3 months, and the money's starting to run out. And we realized we probably only have 3 months of savings, not 4 months.
Yeah.
and
it happens
we're like,
that way.
Yeah, right.
Always.
Especially when you're not working, you have to spend more money for some reason.
Well, you got more time. You got
more time.
Right.
You're like,
That's
I'm going to
right.
do stuff.
Yeah, we're like traveling to Vancouver, which is, we live on Vancouver Island. So we're going over there to like do courses and figure out what we want to do. So we're spending more money on the ferry and all those types of things. And so we do all that. And then in about 3 months in, we decide to recommit to the financial services arena and to create our own company. That was
February 2016.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we
almost-
started our company 2016.
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah, where I need to pull out our incorporation documents and find out because we knew that we wanted to create a pretty big company right from the beginning. So incorporating was one of the very first things we did, and I think it was February 15th or something on the paper.
Yeah.
So why don't you just run through some of the basics of the whole theme of what you guys what you can do, what you're able to do. Like, is it start to finish? Like, you can take people from the budgeting all the way to the investments and
absolutely. Yeah. So we took the concept of what is your calling and wanting to leave people unstoppable, and we actually retook that same workshop again.
Okay.
And refined our callings after diving deeper. Graham came back to the same place, his being that he wanted to leave people with the experience of being unstoppable. And mine, the kind of phrase that got coined in that exercise for me the second time was that I want to leave people like a boss.
Yeah.
I want people to feel like a boss with their money, and in not just with their money, in all, any opportunity that I have to impact somebody, that's the experience I want them to have. And so we started this company knowing, that's what we wanted to accomplish. And where we're at now, 2 years later, is, working with middle income families, a target market of say 30 to 45-year-old parents making $50,000 to $150,000 a year, which typically is not a market that most financial firms want to be in.
There's nothing in it for them, right?
There's nothing in it
they're
for
the
them.
people that need it the most.
Exactly.
They need, like, every dollar counts when you got kids, right?
Absolutely. And 150 grand a year in a household. They're making half decent income, but they still need financial planning. There's not a lot of money to go around, meaning that financial planners typically in the other companies have a hard time earning enough commission there. And it's interesting. I've even been told that people in our industry who are successful. One of them told me recently that they actually see what we do as the goodwill and the pro bono.
The pro bono, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because I think, it's the biggest niche market I've ever seen in my life. It's 80% of Canadians, right?
Yeah, it's everybody. And you can serve so many people, especially, not everybody needs like a whole week of your time or anything, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's what we've done is really made sure that we're streamlining and automating as much as possible using, video conferencing and online tools. We have a coaching program. Most people work with me for 12 months and we meet once a month over video for an hour.
That's great.
And we plug along through the program, starting with goal setting and then looking at spending habits and debt elimination strategy, and then a budget and bank account architecture. And there's a session called Your Finances 101. And that's our opportunity to look at, what do they already own? Do they own a mortgage and not understand it? And do they have a work benefits program of some sort? And do they know what's in there? There's nowhere to get that information.
No one's going to help with that.
No, the advisor who sold it to you, they already made their commission and they don't have time to go over everything again. They got to go and sell something new to a new client. And an advisor who isn't yours, they're not going to volunteer to read through your stuff. The only way that you're going to get in front of them is one of these, quote unquote, free consultations.
Well, the system is obviously broken when that's how it's set up, right? Somebody sells you an investment before you even know about your finances. That doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
How do they know that investment is right for you? And the answer is they don't.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other part to it is that people forget what their advisor tells them.
Oh, yeah.
So there is a definite lack in the amount of planning and that and education that's happening across the desk. And what I see is as equally as unfortunate is that those relationships are they're fairly short-lived in our target market because there's not a lot of reoccurring revenue from the investments because the investment account is so small, and therefore the advisor literally just cannot afford the time to stay in contact and to answer those little questions here and there and to make sure that the client remembers what they said, what they told their advisor, what the advisor told them. I will relate it to getting a haircut. And, you get your haircut short and the next day you wish that you had a long haircut. But it's not the stylist's fault that you have a short haircut. It wasn't their fault for cutting your hair. You went in asking for a short haircut and you might not like it anymore. And this happens in finance that we walk in and we tell people one story. And based on that story, hopefully the advisor does the best plan and the best job they can. And you might change your story 6 months later. And then you come back and you blame the advisor that your plan no longer suits you, forgetting that you were the cog in the middle. And I think that if we can find as clients, as people, if we can find advisors in, whether it's legal matters or tax matters or financial planning, working with people who, number one, you really like and trust, and that you have an intention of a long-term relationship, and making sure that the person, that the advisor has the same intention, that they want a long-term relationship with you, that they are set up to serve you properly.
I put it specifically in my engagement letter with my coaching clients. I put the lifetime relationship clause. Now they don't have to. They don't have to. It's not like we're legally binding forever. But if they want to, I'm going to be there, right?
Yeah.
Because why would I start this why would I start this if I'm just, hoping to just make money off of them quick right away and then let them go away? The whole idea here is why we do this is so that we can help people gradually as they go, and then so they know what's happening at every step. Things change all the time, every 6 months. Every 6 months, you should be reviewing your finances with somebody.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so like I say, we've looked at how can we do that? Because when you're building a company in this target market where there are less revenues being generated from the things that that target market needs, you have to be streamlined. You have to be as automated as possible. So things like our Facebook group, it's like engage with us there.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need a meeting with your advisor to ask a quick little question.
So much formality, right? Let's get rid of the formality. Let's just talk about money.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Facebook, video meetings, emails, phone calls, the financial needs analysis, or the financial plan that we do with our clients, they get an online access to it. Right. And they can log in and play around with their own numbers whenever they want. We never understood that. We would ask people if they had a financial planner, and they would say yes. And then we would say, okay, let's check out your financial plan. And every single time people looked at us like we had two heads. Like, what do you mean a financial plan? I don't have one of those. I have a planner, but I don't have a plan.
It still doesn't make sense to me, even though I'm fully aware of all of how people do things. It's like, how do you know how to make the decisions, right? If I don't know how much money you're spending on this and this and that, I can't even believe you that you say you have $200 left a month. I don't know that. I mean, it's all guessing, and people seem to be comfortable planning their entire future or their retirement fund or whatever they're saving money for, whatever their goals are, on guesses.
Yeah, exactly. And so we really believe in, holistic planning, looking at your insurance needs and your retirement needs, your debt needs, your budget. And so we have coaches and advisors. Some of our advisors specialize in, living benefits like critical illness insurance, disability insurance. That's a really highly specialized niche that is kind of unknown and even undervalued in our circles. We have other advisors who specialize in retirement planning because, there's a lot of tax strategies to be considered in that.
Sure.
And we've got some generalist type advisors who can work on the big picture. And then we've got the coaching side where we're going to talk about budgeting and just getting out of debt. And we're not going to talk about these, financial planning products. That's going to be referred back to either one of our advisors, or we have no attachment. If one of my clients learns that they need to be putting more towards retirement, they walk out the door, they finish the video call with me with that information, and they can go do whatever they want with that information.
But if they want to do something, you can help them, right?
Yeah, they can send me an email and I'll book them in with one of our advisors. Or they can go online, they can walk into their bank, they can work with Uncle Bob. It makes no difference to me. And really the thing is, putting a plan in place and having them understand the plan, and allowing them to be in control and make the decisions. And that goes along with our number one core value at Moolah is never sell anything. Okay. And I'm really, really proud of that because most of the training that all of our advisors have had in their decade of experience in this industry, I would say 75% of it is sales training. It's objection handling. And that's not how we want to, that's not what's going to leave our clients feeling unstoppable.
No, starting with if you start with selling a product, then everything else kind of gets lost, right? But if you set them up and then you say, okay, these are the things that you need to do. And if you need help with that, here are some options that I can provide, but you don't have to do these if you don't like them or don't feel comfortable. Exactly. But the point is, a plan does have to be implemented by somebody.
Yes.
So why not use the people that you trust? But after you've made the plan. The plan shouldn't be made from the sales products, right? The products say buy me, so they have to be in the plan. No, that's not how it goes, right? If somebody comes to you with a lot of debt, you're not going to say, put some money in an RRSP account. You're not going to say that, even though that might make you or your advisors money, because it's not right for them. And I think that's where we need to flip everything.
And figuring out what's right for the client. I've got clients who are so motivated and excited about getting out of debt.
Yes.
And, so a plan focused on that for them is just going to, totally accelerate their overall success. And I have other clients who, have this debt, and mathematically we need to pay it down because it's the interest is there. And what they're really, really motivated by is saving money or investing money. And so creating a plan based on, that concept of personal finance is personal, and figuring out what's going to keep them rolling. Because I can crunch any numbers in any which way to convince you of just about anything.
Sure. That's our skill, right? We're Excel wizards.
Yeah, exactly. And what's important is that you understand and, are motivated by those numbers. And we've really learned that there really is no right way. There's ways that we know work for more people than others, but the concept of nothing works and anything works. It's not, it's not the system that works. It's the person that works the system. And so whatever system or plan you put in place, as long as you're working it and understand it and you're motivated by it, it's going to work for you.
What do people pay you for this? Is it is there a set amount, or is it just depending on the situation? What kind of structure
it's definitely dependent on the situation. So the conversation we have on our engagement agreement with our clients really looks at what their intention is with us.
Sure.
We find that people come in for a few different reasons. Either they're coming in, for coaching. They don't want to look at the long term yet, or maybe that's not appropriate right now, or products. They really want to start with the basics. And then for that, they go into our coaching program. And inside of coaching, we have two different options, which are going to be unveiled in the next few weeks here into February.
So you're revamping the program?
We're revamping, exactly. Yeah, and the first option is that they pay $49 a month, and it's a DIY program. It's pre-recorded videos of all the different topics and access to a monthly coaching call with me, a group monthly coaching call of everybody in the program.
Okay, great.
The other option is that they work one-on-one with me every month, and that's $149 a month. If their intention is on the financial planning side, then we're looking at the true intention there as well. Are they looking for a plan that they want to DIY themselves with, buying investments and whatnot online? Are they looking for just some education? Are they looking for a second opinion? If that's the case, our advisors are available for an hour and a half to those people. Okay. And we charge them $149 for it. Okay. And there's no strings attached at the end of that hour and a half. They can walk out with the information, do whatever they want with it. And then most of our clients seem to fall into another category if they're really looking for a long-term relationship. Yeah. They're really looking for that plan, the education, the guidance, as well as the implementation on, the insurance and the investment strategies. And so we still work in a commission model for those, and clients pay nothing out of pocket, and everything's very planning, education focused, very, very transparent about, what the commissions are. And people love that that in those long-term relationships that they're not forking out money every single time they want to see their advisor, that the insurance and the investment companies will make sure that the advisor is compensated, and it's not up to them to write a check.
Yeah, exactly. That's how a lot the banks work, right? And the transparency, I think, is the key word that you use there. And you're going to let them know exactly what fees they're paying and why and who's getting what.
Exactly.
For that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and we see a flaw in the fee only model that's really popular right now. And the intention of the fee only model is that transparency. It's unembedding fees and having clients know exactly what they're paying, and that's great. However, a fee only advisor technically should not be selling insurance, because insurance is a commissionable product. Okay. And so we have a lot of great fee only advisors out there, but people still need to buy their insurance somewhere. And where are they going to get that insurance from? And is the fee-only advisor going to participate in those conversations to make sure that they're being sold the right thing and that they're dealing with the right type of insurance advisor? it's kind of a gray, kind of a messy area that the industry hasn't really attacked yet, like they have the commissions around investments.
Yeah, we're still doing patchwork, right?
Exactly.
You guys have figured out the key thing, and that's the holistic financial planning is key. And so you have your finger on investments and insurance, and you can recommend the best stuff because you're looking at the whole picture, and no one else really does that.
It's very unfortunate. It's really rare.
Yeah,
it's really rare.
I'm doing this, but I would send people to licensed people like you, for example, right? So, I would do all of the intro work that you're doing. And then when it comes to investing, send to investment people I trust. Insurance, send to insurance people I trust, right?
Yeah.
If you need help with your mortgage, that kind of thing. If we're talking about debt repayment, I can help with that. But anything that involves a license, you just happen to have, you both have the licenses yourself, right?
That's right.
And you have people on site and in your trusted group who can put it all together. And I think isn't that what banks were supposed to be in the first place?
And maybe they were.
Yeah, were they?
Before my time, but maybe they were.
Where you would just sit with somebody and we'll take care of you. We'll take care of everything for you.
Yeah, and they would actually probably come to your house.
Yeah. What happened?
Right? Back in the 50s, 60s, 70s,
what have they done?
Where have we come?
They opened it up for the rest of us to help people, right. And to bring it back to what it's supposed to be, like you said, and I'll repeat, is making people unstoppable, right? Because right now they're not feeling that way. I don't think they are. I think they don't know. They're confused by things that are available, products that are available. For years, everybody paid high fees because that was the only option, and at least we're talking about that now. There's a lot of different options out there, and I think the reason people would want to choose you guys is because there's so much value there, and unfortunately, because of this, all the fees are embedded in the products, and everybody sold products. People aren't used to paying for this, and that's the unfortunate thing we have to turn around, right?
Yeah. There definitely is a barrier there, and the other barrier around fee only is, how many clients can you really work with? What fee does an advisor have to charge in order to make a living themselves? And is that fee going to be affordable to our target market? Most fee only advisors are targeting household incomes over 150,000, and
probably 500,000.
Quite often, and their fees are going to be anywhere from $2,500 upfront to $5,000, and our clients just can't afford that, and they are more than happy to have an advisor make commission, but they want the advisor to earn their commission. And I think that's where commission really went sideways in this industry, is people stopped earning it. They started taking it for granted that they could get a $5,000 commission from investing somebody's money. And it took them 5 hours to do, and I don't have to see that person for another year.
Yeah. That's...
They really took advantage of it.
Yeah, that is the downside of that. And it's kind of made commissions very evil in people's minds, but you're trying to turn that around and say, hey, it's okay because we're paying attention to everything.
Exactly. Yeah, we're going to be upfront about it, and we are absolutely going to earn it. You're going to walk out of this conversation not only, with a better understanding of all this jargon and how it all works, but you're going to have a plan. You're going to have access to that plan at your convenience, midnight on a Saturday night, if you want to go in and play around with your numbers. You're going to have us over video. You're going to have us on Facebook. You're going to have us in all those, convenient ways. And we're going to be here for you to help you make those decisions moving forward. Yeah, we're going to earn that commission. I'm not going to be scared of it. I'm scared of the conversation.
I think it's a really great philosophy. And so where do people find you? I feel like we haven't said the name of the company once.
Oh, I don't think we have. The name of the company is Moolah Financial Coaches and Advisors.
I will say it. I will say it at the intro, and so
awesome.
No worries. But
Awesome.
yeah, so Moolah. And where do people go?
Yeah, so our website is yourmoolah.ca. And most people interact with us on Facebook. Our Facebook group is called Black is the New Red.
Awesome. Can people just join even if they're not clients, or do they have to be clients, or how does it work?
Absolutely. It is a non-client group. It is a zero marketing or solicitation group. We have lawyers, accountants, realtors, mortgage brokers in there, all answering questions and participating in the conversation for
That's
free.
awesome. If you don't trust Lindsay and Graham after this conversation, I don't know what it will take. But if you want to just chat with people and not have to pay any money and learn a little bit, you can just do that so easily on Facebook.
Absolutely. It's awesome. We have portfolio managers of some of the like robo advisor companies in there answering questions.
Nice.
We've you name it, they're in there from all across Canada. And it's a really fun group to learn. I shared last night a recipe that I made for soup that cost me $5. That was really delicious. All the way to explaining how MERs work and the difference between, life insurance and critical illness insurance. We cover all the topics in a really fun and casual type conversation.
That's great. And is there anything else you wanted to say about your products or anything about Moolah?
We are really excited about the brand new DIY video coaching program coming out in February. So people can check out our website for that. I think it's really going to open up this conversation to more people that might not be able to afford a price over $100 a month. And so that's something that's really exciting coming up that I would love people to know about. And do you have anything, Graham?
I just think that what's most important to us is that we be a company and a people, and that we deliver value, and that we get to know people over a period of time. We give them information, and then they get comfortable with all that information, and then they decide to buy something from us. And that's the kind of company we want to be, where nobody sells anything. People can come around, get to know you. There's never this feeling of, I have to buy something until you want to. And I think that's what we're striving for. And I feel like we've done a great job of being able to provide that feeling for people.
I think that's great. I think everything should be set up that way.
Yeah.
It's
better.
Just coming in with the hard sell and using whatever tactics that you're supposed to use as a salesperson to sell something. That might work for some things, but not for, this is your whole financial life. Everybody
That's right.
shares this common bond of having money. It's the one thing we all have, right? We're all different, but we all have to make money, and we all spend it. And we all should be saving and, planning.
Exactly. It's a need. And an analogy that we talk about is it's no different than food. It's a need. And have you ever seen somebody pitching or flogging bananas at the grocery store?
Yeah.
They're there for you to go and see if they're, too green or too yellow or too brown for you.
That's right.
And you make the choice of how many bananas you put in your cart. And there's nobody pushing bananas. So why are we pushing investments and insurance?
That's right. This is stuff that everybody needs. And the insurance part, especially, people tends to fall off their radar. There's no insurance season. There's RESP season, apparently, but there's no cutoff for, hey, you might get sick, or, something bad or worse might happen to you. Everyone thinks they're invincible, right? That's so for life insurance and critical illness and disability, and sometimes we have some of those. Sometimes we don't know how much we even have or whether it's going to be good enough. And
exactly.
The worst time to find out is when, to go all the way, is when you're dead. You want to find the stuff, you want to leave your family with this or that, you want to be disabled or have a heart attack or cancer and not have even thought about insurance. I think we need to talk a little bit more about that, but we could have a completely different podcast episode.
Totally. Yeah. And on all of that stuff. We've got advisors with licenses in several provinces, so we can meet people online over video in most provinces.
Well, that's good to know too, because it's not just Victoria, it's not just BC. You're good to talk to everybody, not necessarily everybody, but most provinces.
Yeah. There's some that have different license requirements.
I'm going to guess Quebec is one of those.
Yes, we will not be getting licensed in Quebec. I don't think ever.
You're not alone. I've seen it pretty much on anybody who's starting something that has regulations or something. It's like, sorry, Quebec. We can't do it.
Whatever we all do, it's regulation wise, it's just about a complete 180 in Quebec. So it's hard to. Yeah,
maybe they're doing fine without us, right?
Absolutely,
that's fine. But most of the other provinces, you're good, and I mean, of course, they can just ask you if everything's good in their province.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And coaching has no borders. So
that's right. You can coach. Yeah. I mean, technically, I'm sure you could coach anybody anywhere in the world, but like I would say, I wouldn't be able to advise on Roth IRAs and 401ks in the States. But I can tell you, spend less than you actually make.
That's right. Yeah, some of the
there's the basics that translate across borders, languages, and everything, right?
Yeah.
Well,
that's right.
I'm really happy that you guys came on today, and that we figured out how to get both of you on together. This is really good to get to know you and to hear that you have a really great philosophy, unstoppable. Love it. Moolah Financial. So thanks, awesome. Guys.
Thanks, Bo.
Thank you, Bo.
Next week on the Personal Finance Show, I have a very special guest, former president and CEO of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, Richard Petty. If you enjoy listening to the Personal Finance Show, please show your support by subscribing to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app. Please check out my website, investwisely.ca, where you can find all of the podcast show notes and links, and of course, all of my blog posts. I'd love to hear from you, so please feel free to send me an email at bo@investwisely.ca.